it's about to go.
Oh my goodness. All right, coach. I'm ready.
Don't try to come here and tell me I ain't coach now. You got to listen. Hey, you guys, this is Aquila Madison Inspirational. We're back for another one. This is our third author, which I'm excited as well to introduce you to. But I must say that unlike the first two, I've actually had the pleasure of meeting this phenomenal woman. She is what they call a powerhouse in a small package. Okay, because she's short and she probably look. I feel like people sometimes look taller than what they are on these lives, but either way, she is a powerhouse, and you are in for a treat for sure. So let me tell you first of all how I let me get my life together, y'all, because I'm trying to make sure we are live and together. Okay, cool. So I want to first tell you guys that we met online. We were working together on, developing her website and things like that, right? She's got a phenomenal, listen, you guys, I can't wait for you to, really get in with her book and her workbook because it's really phenomenal. The heart of what she's done, the heart of what she has and the heart behind what she has to offer is so powerful for entrepreneurs, people of purpose, ministry, all of that. So just wait. She got lots of stuff to talk about. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, let me just get back to how I met this lady right here in person. So during the season that the Lord told me to go to Atlanta, and we happened, she was like, I'm going to be coming to Atlanta. And I'm like, are you? So let me tell you one thing you can't do to Aquila. You cannot tell me that you coming where I'm at or that I'm coming where you are and I don't see you. That's not going to happen. So I was looking forward to meeting her. So she gave me the invite. She extended the invite for me to show up to this it was kind of like an expo. Okay. So there was a lot of other hey Crystal, there was a lot of other, entrepreneurs that were there. And it was like again, just a lot of different speakers and stuff. So I didn't really know what I was getting into as far as to what to expect. But she said she was going to be giving a presentation. So when she started to give her presentation, y'all, make sure y'all share this video for me if you don't mind. If you let me do a little quick share real quick because I'm telling y'all this is like really gonna be good. This is gonna be good. She laughed because she know like she's crazy, y'all, but this is good. She's crazy. She is crazy. You know it. Y'all, you already know. So anyway, while I'm over here sharing this video. Okay, one more and then I'm done. Oh, Christian entrepreneurs. Let's go in there because yes, this is what we need. Okay, listen. So anyway, she's crazy. Hey Twyla, what's up? What's up? Hey Jesse and Layla, how are you? So so anyway, we're in Atlanta. She says she's giving a presentation. So she's giving this presentation to again a bunch of people who are authors, not authors, who are entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and just people who are in the building, right? So she tells them, she was like, hey you guys, are you ready for your payday? Okay. And we like, yeah, we want our money. You know what I'm saying? Give us stuff. Show me the money. No, ma'am. She pulled out some payday candy bars, and she started throwing those candy bars at us, y'all. We're talking about if you ready for your payday, it's time for your payday. And she throwing payday candy bars at us, right? Now, granted, I really like the payday candy bar, but we had to duck and take cover because these weren't even baby paydays. She came. This is how blessed she is. She came with a full size payday bar that she was throwing at us all in the audience, y'all. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna tell you that the message hit and it is unforgettable. So without further ado, because I want her to give a little bit of what she was about to say when we started this live. But without further ado, you guys, I ain't even read her bio. That should have said enough. Forget it. She's going to give some of that information on her own. So anyway, without further ado, the lovely coach, pastor, entrepreneur, Deborah Taylor. So thank you so much, Deborah, for joining me today.
Well, thank you, Coach Aquila. You have been a blessing to me. And it's interesting because Aquila became my business coach I had lost my job, and I was just kind of, I had another coach. He was a male, and he did a wonderful job. But I needed something else, and Aquila Maddox showed up on the scene, and I didn't have any money. My unemployment had ran out, and Aquila ain't, she kind of the top of the top, right? I told her a little bit about my story. I was making six figures. I had went from the projects to actually working in my career to the White House, and that's a whole nother story. And about the have-nots and the haves, and so I was telling her my story, and she decided to become my business coach, and my life it changed. Along with that time, she actually built my website, FaithNBiz.com. She pulled things out of me that I never thought, and she treated me like I was actually an aunt or a mother, to her. I couldn't have afforded her at that time, but I knew that God was going to bless her, and so I got to tell this story because she told the payday story. So you'll find out that so I do multiple things. I'm a faithpreneur. Yeah. Faithpreneur. I'm a faithpreneur. And so I'm sitting in the bed, right? We had done this conference in Atlanta. So I'm sitting in Texas, and I'm actually sitting in the bed. And it's about maybe a year with that. We had built our relationship, and I'm looking, and I see Aquila walk past the TV. I was like, ah! I said, God, that's my coach. He said, girl, your coach. I said, and I had always told her, I was like, God's gonna bless you. He's gonna open doors for you. He's gonna do all this stuff for you. He's gonna just make and right. And so it went past again, and then I stayed up that night because it came on. It was a rerun, so it came on again, and it was her. So I called her, sat in the middle of the bed, and called her and said, "Are you on T.I.
I did.
I mean, we have history, and I thank God for you. I thank God for you coming into my life during a season where I really, really, I'll tell anybody, you need a coach. And if you need a coach, you need to get Coach Aquila because she really is a different type of coach. She's a different type of person that helps you to tap into areas that I never even thought of, were traditional coach. And that's what allowed me to be the type of coach that I am. It allowed me to be that person. So even with the candy bar thing, because she was coaching me that morning, I had no idea what I was going to talk about, anything. And I ran over to the Walgreens, and I was sitting there at my booth, right? And all of a sudden, the Lord said, tell the people they're going to have a payday. And people still remember that. I was in Atlanta maybe last year, and some lady ran up to me like, you're the payday lady. It's like, wow, what an impact. So I just thank God for you, Aquila, and what our relationship and what the Lord has really done through you to help me to take my ministry, my business, all the way in my marketplace, kingdom ministry to a whole nother level. So.
Well, thank you, Deborah. Thank you. So listen, that payday story will ever be ingrained in my memory. You know what I'm saying? And I'm grateful because it's that kind of creativity, you guys, that really makes an impact. It's that kind of creativity that I believe that God has given all of us, which is why this online book fair to me has necessity. So this was an opportunity for the Lord to say, hey, listen, I need you to get out here. And I was like, wait, what? And what we just discussed on our last one was that, she talked about surrender. And I said, well, elaborate on surrender. She said, doing what God tells you to do despite the discomfort, even when it's inconvenient, even when the timing is off, even if it seemed like it's the last minute or whatever the case may be. And so for me, it ended up being a matter of, like, hey, do a book fair because you want to, for one, promote what everybody else is doing. And then for two, you want to make sure you're encouraging, my people to constantly be in a state of creativity. One, it's inspiring to ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It inspires yourself when you create. So listen, so let's get in on this good book though. So you wrote a book as well as a workbook called Faithpreneurs, right? So
Yes.
for one, I know
Yes.
everybody it's a thing where everybody's doing, somethingpreneur, right? But what made you do Faithpreneurs? What
Well,
inspired that?
what inspired it is that it was actually birthed out of my own crisis of becoming unemployed after almost
Mm.
60. I was almost 60. Okay. When I became unemployed, I was a pastor. I was a bivocational pastor.
First of all, she said at that time she was 60, and look at her now. She don't even look like she's 60. Oh, yeah.
Yes. So it was birthed out of that. And so I started a ministry called Tying the Knot, which is my first book, which
Put
turned
it, put
out
it
books was
closer to
Tying
your
the Knot
put it
between the
closer to the
ministry.
camera. Put it closer so we can see it. Up closer. There we go. Now just back a little. There we go. Over to the side.
Oh,
Other side. There we go. Because it's backwards. Tying the knot between ministry and the marketplace. There we
yes.
go. That's good. That's good. So
Okay.
we're gonna talk about that one too. We're gonna talk about that one too.
Okay. So it was birthed. I started a ministry called the Women's Faith and Business Movement. I didn't have any money. All I had was a bunch of faith. And I moved when I lost my job. I moved from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Memphis and didn't know anyone. And so it was crazy. And so I woke up one morning right around my birthday, and the Lord spoke to me and said, "Do a women in business conference." And he began to deal with me about the Women's Faith and Business network that I was to build. And so I had no money. All I had was faith. And I actually, in one of the suburbs, I met a lady who actually gave me, she gave me the hotel room. It was a Marriott in the suburbs, right? She gave me that Marriott for literally nothing. And she allowed me to bring food in. And I met another a caterer who ended up being an evangelist who now owns a wonderful restaurant here. But she did my food for like nothing, right? And then it just all kind of fell together. And I put that conference together in 31 days and
Wow.
sold out. And
Wow.
people were contacting me, and it was a tri-regional conference that I didn't know because I had just moved here. I didn't know that Arkansas, Tennessee, and Mississippi all are called tri-states.
Yeah.
And people came from all of those states, right? And he began to show me because I was torn, and I knew I wasn't supposed to go back into pulpit ministry, and I was torn between the ministry and the marketplace because I had did very well in the marketplace in my corporate job. And so God began to speak to me about that. And I started, and I was with women, I had a real bond with women. And so I wanted to help women. And I would go to these different events, and I would see women who said they were selling jewelry, they were doing this, but they had really nasty attitudes. And they said they was Christians, but then when you walk up to them, they turn their nose up at you and all of that. And so the Lord told me to start this tying the knot between the ministry and marketplace and the Women's Faith and Business Movement. So I did that. And then so Faithpreneurs was actually birthed out of the second book. The second book was volume 2 of Tying the Knot. And what I did is I began to mentor women. So the first book, we released 12 authors, the Apostolic 12. It's 12 authors. We released 12. Most of these were people that I knew. Okay. Of course, a couple of them I didn't. They went on, every last one of those women, except for one that passed away, went on and became very good in their craft. But when I met them, they were struggling. They were going through, and all of them now make more money than I do. That's a whole other story, right? I can't even afford them, but they give me mama prices. So then the second step to getting the Faithpreneurs was he gave me this movement around the 7 mountains. So the 7 mountains are a sphere of influence in family, business, education, media, religion, arts and entertainment, and government. and he told me to have this conference, bring this, and write a second book. Right, how I met my editor was Divine How I Met You, and so I put that together. And this book, I didn't hardly know any of the women who became part of an anthology. So, Kind of Not Between Ministry and the Marketplace actually released 34 authors. So this is the second one.
Got you.
Okay. And so after that, I had a huge conference. People came from 16 cities and from the Caribbean, from all over. And so I did that. And then my editor came to me and she said, by that time I had written in 9 books, mostly anthologies, but I had did my own. I didn't do my own. My daughter, who is going to be 45, 46, I forgot how child again. She's going to be old. So she told me that I needed to help young women like her and like her, right? And that's how I ended up doing the Women's Faith and Business movement. But my editor came to me and she said, what are you really feeling about this? And what do you call yourself? And I said, the Lord said, I'm called a faithpreneur. That I have been assigned to help people to walk out their faith in the marketplace, creating generational legacy wealth from generation to generation.
Wow. So I posted up that statement because I think that I would like you to elaborate a little bit more on that, because I wanted to know that my mind began to kind of spin a little bit. And I was like, because out of that frustration or that observation, you were like, ooh, we need to change the way we're doing this marketplace, connections and things like that. Or like you said, marketplace ministry. We got to change the way we're doing this, because for those of you who are just joining, she said, she began to really start to try to make connections and connect with people and stuff like that. And she found that they labeled themselves Christians, but their attitudes were very nasty. And we find that this is obviously not uncommon. Christian doesn't make you perfect, right? It does not. So that's not the expectation. It's not an attack on that by any stretch of the imagination. But what it is it's a call to action. Like because Christian is obviously a word that I don't even know is that word found in the Bible. But what it is it's a word, if nothing else, that is used. It's no different than being like when a person say that I'm a Minnesotan, right? Minnesotan is really just the fact that it's saying that I'm associated with Minnesota, or I reside there. So Christian is associated with Christ. So to be associated with Christ, and knowing that the example that he provides, there was still kindness, right? That he shared, understanding that everybody ain't in his lane, but it did not require a call for him to be rude and things like that. So that intrigued me. I would like to, if you don't mind, I would like you to elaborate on what was the value of really starting to create a community of people who were faithpreneurs based off of that irritation.
Well, it was because I felt like people needed healing. A lot of times when people are walking around, especially women, they're hurting. And usually they've been hurt by other women. I mean, in all honesty. And so I wanted to develop a community to be able to help women. And so I went through my own process of journaling. So I had all of these notes. And what my editor did is actually took my daily prayers and things and life lessons and nuggets that I had learned, right? Like one of the nuggets in here is believe when someone shows you who he or she is, really is, and giving scripture foundation, and then being able to journal that process, to be able to journal the hurt. And so when you go through these two together, it takes you through the process, and it actually became a coaching mechanism to be able to coach people through that hurt, to be better entrepreneurs. And in order to be better entrepreneurs, you're going to actually walk in your healing, and you're going to make more money because seriously, you're going to, and everyone who has done it, is really, honestly, truly, they're doing much better, and they're making money. They're making money. They're being able to sow. They're being able to take care of themselves, because you got to deal with your stuff. If you don't deal with your stuff, and the other thing, Aquila, is that it's all about your circle. So you want to, one of the nuggets in here is about a whole process about dealing with your inner circle. Because if you hanging around four broke people, you the fifth, right? So the person that began to help me to understand about being a Christian entrepreneur was a little Caucasian man. His name was John. He was a Christian millionaire. He was serving me some water at a philanthropist conference. And he told me, he said he began, my job at that time wanted some money from him and he refused to do it. But he told them that anything that I would do, he would fund it on my own. And he
Wow.
began to mentor me, and he owned 5 businesses. And
Wow.
he began to mentor me, and he was one of the first, besides my apostle, over the years that taught on the 7 mountains and the principle of marketplace ministry. He was been teaching that 20 years. With them two together, I was able to see past some stuff and wanted to actually help to bring healing. In the midst of that, I began to have men drawn to my conference, join to tying the knot. So in the second book, we actually have a male, and we actually have men who have joined the movement. So now we call it the FaithNBiz movement. And
Gotcha.
so, and you helped me to get to that, right? So
Yes.
we still have time to not, but it's actually the FaithNBiz movement. So that's how it was. And so Faithpreneurs was actually birthed out of my own hurt, my own journey, and learning how to deal with those biblical principles, those nuggets that you need to take you through the process of healing in order that you can make kingdom wealth.
Love it. I don't think a lot of people associate healing with wealth or healing with, with progression, outside of physically, you know what I mean? Outside of, whatever they're dealing with their body. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, for those who know me, that's what we say. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, our healing plays a major part in how we receive.
Yes.
Think about it, right? It plays a major part, because let me tell you why it's imperative that you're healed when you're receiving, is because it's kind of like receiving with holes in your hands.
Yes.
You have to be healed so that you can contain and sustain what has been given to you.
Yes.
So not being healed really affects God's ability to give you things, because whether it's self-sabotaging, whether it's being
Yes.
it's not being a good steward over the relationships that God is giving you, the connections He's giving you. So, like you said, a lot of times that it's women hurting women, right? So if we're not being good stewards over each other, then we're really furthering our issues.
Right.
We're making life harder for ourselves. We're digressing sometimes, because the very person that God may want you to connect with is the person that you sit there looking sideways at.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I did a whole series on holy hands, empty pockets. I can
That's
tell you
good.
about that one day. Holy hands, empty pockets.
That's
Right?
good.
People raising holy hands, but their pockets is empty. And so we have to get to the point where you say, ooh, that'll preach, won't it, girl?
Yeah, well.
That'll preach. Yes, 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 baby. You got to get to the point where the healing comes. And I'm not saying women, at that time, that was really my circle. My circle is my call. And you got to know what you called to do. And I'm called to bring healing and restoration to women, because I was a hurt woman. And so that was my call. But I also, in my secular job, I did a lot with men and fatherhood and marriage and just so much stuff that I just believe I just was called to heal. But you got to be able to walk that out, because I'm gonna give you an example. Chick-fil-A. When you go to Chick-fil-A, how do they treat you?
Wonderful.
Wonderfully, right? You ain't gonna never see nobody looking mean, throwing your food at you. They greet you, they serve, they got a whole system. But if you go to, I ain't gonna, you know, and my friend, I'm giving this disclaimer, but if you go to McDonald's, and you can go to the hood Chick-fil-A, and you can go to the hood McDonald's down the street, and what you gonna get? Here your food. What you want? Right? Totally different system. It all has to do with the management of that system and people not walking and hurt. And I don't know what Chick-fil-A, but I know they're a Christian company. I don't know what they do to get their people. We was in Red Lobster before this virus thing, and this guy was serving us everything. He was, yes ma'am, no ma'am. I mean, would you like some more of this? And my husband said, you must have worked at Chick-fil-A. He said, I still do. We immediately knew. Knew, right? So I want people to have a Chick-fil-A service. I want them to be Chick-fil-A entrepreneurs. I want them to be able to, right? And I'm not saying everybody at McDonald's or whatever got an attitude, but I'm just saying that sometimes that can come off. It comes off really bad, but you can't work at Chick-fil-A with an attitude. You can't. You just can't. They serve you like you the criminal, and they call you by your name, right? Huh?
Yep.
It makes a totally difference.
It's right? Definitely true.
It's the same thing in kingdom. It's the same thing in kingdom. How I treat you, right? I believe that God has opened the door for you. I knew that God was going to open the door for you because of your giving, loving, compassionate attitude.
Thank you. And glory to God.
Giving and loving and compassionate, and you never, I mean, not one time, right? And so when you're that, he can't do nothing but create opportunities. He can't do nothing but kick those doors in for you, right? So people say, even, you know, and I've been in business now for maybe about 5 years. So people say, you've done so well. When I told people I was never going to work anymore, they were like, you're not old enough to retire. My director at the time, had just quit working, going back and forth to the White House. President Obama had came, was gone. And so they said, you can't do that. I said, well, why? Right. And so before she died, she passed away last year. She said, you're the only person I know that did exactly what you said you were going to do. You did exactly. I told them that me and God gonna have a conversation, and he's going to put some people in my path to teach me how to create multiple streams.
Love it.
And I will teach people how to do that. And I know that God will put the right people in my path to be able to give me the direction that I need to secure that and to learn how to do that. And that's how FaithNBiz came about. And that's how we will continue. So right after this book came out, my husband got ill, so we never finished our process to be able to get this online and create an online school. So now we're reconnected. I'm getting ready to do that because I believe that there is a massive, I know that he's called me to nations, and I know that there's a massive group of people who feel like they're called to minister, but they're not necessarily called to the pulpit.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Right? And they're not an evangelist, per se, but they feel that they've been called to teach people how to prosper. And prosperity is not a bad word, right? And it's not a bad word. And so I believe that there are people like myself, you, and other people that have been called to do that. And I remember one of my daughters in ministry, what she calls me her faithpreneur coach. She actually has her own TV show now, her own TV network here and everything. And one of the things she said, my faithpreneur coach did for me was she never stopped believing that I could do it.
Amen.
So because I didn't stop believing that she could do it, she did it. Sometimes you just got to have one person that can touch and agree that you can do what you do, you know,
Absolutely.
and somebody that's
Absolutely.
willing to share their gift, you know. And so now
Absolutely.
I choose, if I choose who, because people say, well, how do you get paid and why do you charge? I believe you are worthy of your hire.
Yeah.
But I also believe I choose who I give commercials to. I choose who I sow into. I choose because if I'm prayerful, he's going to show me who those people are and what I need to do. But everybody, people, what I also have learned is, Aquila, is if people don't pay for it, a lot of times they don't value it,
They
right?
do.
I value they if I get it, if I get it for free, I may come, I may not come. I may, but if I pay for it, I value it. If I only paid 99 cents for this purse, I'm gonna throw it on the floor. But if I
Yeah.
paid $300 for a purse, I'm gonna kind of look out for it.
It's true.
You
It is absolutely true. So I don't know what just happened to Deborah Taylor's connection, but what she's saying is absolutely true. I know that that again our journey of faith looks way beyond doing things in ministry or the pulpit. There you go.
Uh-huh.
Okay, good. Our journey of faith, because you were frozen for a minute.
Oh, I was frozen. You was too.
Ah, okay.
Both.
So I was saying that the journey of faith, I was saying just to kind of piggyback on something you were saying, the journey of faith is bigger than just ministry as it looks in our, what we're familiar with. So just not
Mhm.
just church settings and not just serving in ministry per se, as it looks like, again, a pulpit,
Mhm.
a youth ministry, a woman's ministry, a usher, and all of that. So what I really appreciate about, Deborah's, her book is that she's now allowing the space for you to call whatever field that you're in your ministry. Where a
Mhm.
lot of people, when they say, "Oh, do you do ministry work?" Because there's a
Yep.
separation. You know what I mean? There's a separation from ministry and their 9 to 5 job. There's a separation between ministry and them cutting somebody hair, ministry and them doing somebody
Yes.
else. There is a separation, which is why in some cases I believe a lot of people don't even show up with the attitude that you were talking about earlier of excellence like they would do at, let's say, Chick-fil-A, because there is that separation. And so I feel
Mhm.
like, between the Faithpreneurs book or the tying the knot between the marketplace and the ministry and marketplace, these are two resources that really, to me, give it lends a perspective that really gives us an edge in life, because now I can still be who I am. I can still love God in every area with all of the gifts, with every way that I'm serving
Yeah.
and providing for my family, but understanding, like you said too, that there's going to be elevation as a result of me having an attitude of that is positive, that is kind, and things like that. And versus us, like she had said earlier, like, how are you, she said, man, I was meeting these people who are Christians but their attitude was nasty, and not realizing that their healing is a part of their growth and development. But to me, what you provided really gives, again, it just gives us the space to be able to say, hey, let me take this minute and recognize that my journey of faith impacts my finances. Let me take a moment really quick to
Yeah.
recognize that, all of what I'm doing, it can be considered ministry. And I don't
Yeah.
have to do it in a traditional setting in order for it to count. So that's why it says there's a mass of people, you said, who are called to minister but not called to a pulpit. And because a
Yeah.
lot of people don't recognize that you don't have to be called to a pulpit to be a minister, there again, there's a separation of the divide from their purpose.
I one of the things that I learned, even when I was working, he would say I would be sitting around these tables sometimes, and I remember the first time I actually was sitting at the table at the White House, and I was like, God, okay, here I am. What am I? And my friend told me one time, she says, which is Jamal Bryant's aunt. She says, you're been called to be the reality at the table. You are the voice at the table. And
That's good.
I never forgot that. And so no matter where I am, I realize that I'm the voice. I've been called to be that voice at the table. And sometimes the doors that have been opened up to me, just like with that Christian millionaire, when he began, he said, he's probably in his late 70s now, but he said, I've only met probably 7 to 8 people in my lifetime that I would say are a person full of opportunities. He said, no matter what you choose to do, you're going to do well because you're full of, and nobody ever told me that. Nobody ever spoke that to me. And I used to always get criticized because I'm always thinking, my daughter is like, if you think of one more thing to do.
Because that's you, Deborah. That's you right there.
If you think of one more thing to do, right?
What's the beauty of entrepreneurship, man? There's no end. There's no limits.
She's like, if you sit down somewhere, right? And then she'll say, because she's over 40, she'll say, it seems like you getting younger and I'm getting older. I don't get it. But I'm always thinking. I mean, right? It's like I'm always thinking, and I can take something and create something for somebody else, and it will just manifest. I told a group of women, I said, the Lord showed me that within the next, well, now it's probably 2.5 years, that we're going to have a millionaire circle. And I know you're going to be in that circle.
Absolutely.
We're going to have of women, listen, the women that had nothing. They came from the guttermost, right? And God going to take them to the othermost. And we're going to be able to show other people how we did it, how we were nobodies that was trying to tell everybody about somebody, right? And we're going to do that. And I believe that he's going to create that circle. If we just begin to, and that's why I say, we got to be iron sharpens iron, and we have to trust each other, begin to sow in each other, and embrace each other enough to see the gifts. And that's what we did in the first 2 books with the anthology. But I did 6 anthologies with mostly Caucasian women. I had become an international best-selling author. And in the last book I was in, I think it was only me, my daughter, and another lady were the only African Americans in that book. Right. I had no idea people did anthologies. Now everybody's doing anthologies, but I've been doing them for probably 10, 15 years. And so it wasn't until my daughter said, Ma, you need to give us the opportunity to be able to express ourselves and do something. And that's really what faithpreneurship is all about. It's about, people say kingdom entrepreneur, whatever, but at the end of the day, it's really about walking in the wisdom of God and walking out your faith. That's why even during this virus, people been calling me like, oh, that's how you doing? Travel girl, I get paid every Friday. I ain't missed a beat. I made more money during the coronavirus than I did all year.
How many can say amen to that?
Hallelujah. Right? Right? And I tell everybody, my husband does taxes, and he tells everybody you need a home-based business. You especially under this administration, you definitely need one. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so being able to do that, but I definitely have been blessed to be able to say that. And my husband was saying, we have been able as a faithpreneur to be able to still do ministry, and the other thing, people talk to me about this travel. Right? I can travel anywhere for nothing at this point, right? Because of the business that I'm in. Then I get to write it off 100%. Right? Well, if I'm going to be going to point A and point B, and I'm going to be doing this stuff, if I'm holding retreats, if I'm holding conferences, right? I'm the best negotiator I know.
I know that's right.
Right? You got to go up in there and negotiate. So I might as well get paid. And you know who taught me that? It wasn't my people who taught me that. It was the millionaire, Christian millionaire that did not look like me, that taught me the essence of being able, he said, if you love to do it and you're passionate about it, you ought to own a piece of it.
Yeah. That's
You ought to
good.
own a piece of it.
That's good.
So that's, as a faithpreneur, that's what I want to teach people. I want to teach people that if you're passionate about, like I have a daughter, a spiritual daughter, who she's in travel with me, but she loves to sew. She loves to
Are you
sew.
saying if you're passionate about it, teach about it?
Right. If you're passionate about it, then you can actually make an income from it. But if you got to have a passion for what you're doing. So many people get into stuff and they don't have a passion, right? They just getting into stuff. You know, that's the one thing that I don't like about some businesses or MLMs. Don't just get in stuff because it's the thing to do. Are you passionate about it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Do you have a movement? Is it something that you're doing? So be passionate about what you do. I'm passionate about everything that I do. And that's why
she is, y'all. Yes, she is, y'all.
I'm passionate. I'm telling you, I am, right?
That's why she was throwing them candy bars at us.
Right?
That's why you were throwing them candy bars at us.
Right? I believe everybody ought to have a payday. And I believe that your payday should not be controlled by nobody but you. And even though even if you're working for someone, you still can get yourself in a position. When I was still working, I got myself in a position to be able that when I knew I was getting laid off and I was walked off that job, I was in position to say no more.
Yeah.
So if you're working a 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, and what's going to happen now with the virus is that a lot of people are now working from home. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. They're never going to go back to an office. They're never so they're going to be working from home because some of those corporations are going to realize it's cheaper to have you at home working. Yeah. Because they don't have the overhead of the office. Yeah. They don't have the overhead, right? Yeah. Like I said, people was asking me about even the one of the businesses that I'm in is travel, right? Well, it's a travel ban. People still going places. And by the time this thing is lifted, I'm going to make so much money, honey. Right.
Hold on, I have a question. Now, how old were you? I have a question. How old were you when you published your first publication?
Oh, so it's been about 10 years. So I must have been in my late 50s.
Okay. So I wanted to share that because it's never too late.
Huh?
It's never too late for anybody.
No, I did everything late. I graduated from college late. I was over 50 when I got my degree.
Amen.
You know, so I did everything late, and that's a reason for that. That's a whole nother book. Yeah, right? I did everything late, but I did it. And you can do anything that you want to do. So it's never too late to write. It's never too late to, you know, and even if you don't talk well, even if you don't, even if you say and you get confused, you know what I'm saying? There are publishers, there are people that I didn't even know until I got the editor that I got, that they got editor, they got like different types of editors. They got different types of people that read your stuff for content, read your stuff for wording, read your stuff to make sure that you that all your grammar agrees, and your adverbs and your subject matter and all that stuff. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff. So you just want to do it, you know. Yeah. You just want to do it. Yeah. Just do it. You know, and if you don't know what to do, find you somebody that's doing what you do. Find somebody that's doing what you do and love what they do and is really honestly open to helping you to do what you do. Like I didn't know.
So her name is Deborah Taylor. And I tagged her in this post, or at least I typed her name in the post. I don't know if it'll show up as a tag. So you guys are more than welcome to connect with her. You know, highly encourage it as well, because like I stated, she's also a coach. And in my lane, there's no competition because I'm the only one in it. So with that being said, I would highly recommend, if this is a person that you feel resonates with who you are and where you're going, do connect with her. You know what I'm saying? And recognizing that she's definitely on a mission to propel people to greatness, right? And allow them to really grow in their purpose by understanding these different principles that matter and they affect who you are, but also being able to allow you to, still operate in ministry, but with an understanding that ministry is more than just what you do in church. So listen, that actually, it looks like she had technical difficulties, but our time is unfortunately coming to an end anyhow. So I wanted to just thank you guys as always for jumping in. Tomorrow we will tune in for our second day of our online book fair. For we have, I think, three or four more amazing authors that you do not want to miss. So please, please, please turn your notifications on. And when you see me go live, do jump in and get this information. And again, if you guys want to purchase her book, I will make sure to drop the link below. And I will talk to you guys later. And until next time.